The Detroit Lions are 15-2. They are back on top of the NFC North for the second straight season and have officially clinched the number one seed in the NFC. What a day to be alive. What a day to be back. I'm so happy to be back. It's been a while since my last upload, like 2 months now, but we are back. And, I had to get some stuff sorted out, but what a time to come back. I was hoping to come back right around playoff time because I had a feeling that we'd be talking about what we're talking about today. We got some stuff to talk about. The Detroit Lions game recap against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll go through some plays and players of the game. And then what's next for the Lions, talking about their playoff schedule. Who could they match up against? Stuff like that. So I'm going to run some highlights for you guys. Feel free to tone me out if you don't want to listen to my annoying voice. But I am going to be making quite a few good points about, some of the plays that happened during the game. And then obviously at the end when I talk about what's next for the Detroit Lions. So let's go through it. First of all, it feels amazing. Like, this team was a team that was 3-13 just 3 years ago. 2 years ago, started 1-6, finished 9-8. Last year, 12-5, NFC Championship. They lose. Now here they are, number one seed. All roads to Detroit. The Super Bowl is literally 2 wins away. We are 2 wins away from clinching our first ever Super Bowl. That is incredible. I have never felt, like this much enjoyment in my life. Biggest regular season game in NFL history, especially Detroit Lions history. You go out and you win it. You don't just win it, you dominate. You absolutely demolish the Vikings in the second half. You outscored them 21-3 in the second half, 10-6 in the first half. Let's talk about the game. I'm sure you guys have already watched the highlights. I've watched the highlights like 4 times. I'm sure you guys probably watched the game itself. But overall, the first half was slow on offense, right? It wasn't great. They got that field goal to end the half. That was nice. Gibbs had that nice little 25-yard touchdown run. That was nice. Needed that. But the offense was not looking good, right? The Vikings have a great defense, though. You can't, say something. You can't say that they're not good at defense. And they have a great D coordinator as well. But the defense was playing out of their minds. The Vikings had 4 red zone trips last night, guys. And they had, I think, three trips inside the 10-yard line. And guess how many touchdowns they scored on those 4 red zone trips and 3 trips to the 10-yard line or less. They scored 0 touchdowns, and they also went like 0 for 3 on 4th down. And the Detroit Lions, well, they came out for the second half, guns a-blazing. Obviously, Goff had a couple turnovers, but we lost the turnover battle 2-0 to the Vikings, and we still won this game. Like, think about that for a second. That is incredible. We came out of the second half, and Jahmyr Gibbs just kind of, dominated. Defense was huge. Amik Robertson, we're going to be talking about those guys coming up. Obviously, Alex Anzalone, just everyone on the offense showed up in the second half. We scored 3 straight touchdowns, and we put the game away. We put the belt to the ass, and we dominated. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's going to be the first player that we're going to highlight today because, how can you not? 4 total touchdowns, 170 total yards, 39 through the air. Come on. Like, it's too easy. Jahmyr Gibbs last night was the greatest offensive performance outside of, like Jared Goff. I think it was the greatest offensive performance we've seen from a player in a long time. We'll just say that. Jahmyr Gibbs went for 4 touchdowns last night, 170 total yards, dominated this game. And when the offense needed a spark, he was the one making the big plays. He was huge. And the fact that he was able to do that in a game like that was absolutely incredible. Credit to him. And I remember all the people that made fun of us when we drafted him. Oh, man, I was so excited when we drafted him, and I'm so glad that he turned out to be the guy that he is. Amik Robertson, a new addition to the team this year. A guy who, never really was looked at as a top corner in the league. A lot of people said he was too small. He couldn't play outside. We moved him inside the slot this year. He's had a really good year in the slot. Hasn't really, made a ton of noise. He's just kind of, okay, it's Amik Robertson. We know he's good. We know he's going to do his thing. Forced a couple turnovers. He locked down the greatest receiver in the NFL last night. 2 nights ago, probably, if, whenever you're watching this, I don't know. He locked down the best receiver in the NFL to 3 catches for 54 yards. I think he was targeted 7 times. This dude just played the most insane game ever in the biggest stage. What a dog. That speech afterwards, was making me tear up. Absolutely love this for him because he is just such a great guy. I remember when we got him, I was so excited for him, and I'm so glad that he turned out to be the guy who he is. What a game from him. Alex Anzalone, this was a guy that we didn't really even know. I heard he was supposed to come back week 18. I was expecting him to, but then, we didn't take him off IR. I was like, okay, he's probably not going to play. Wednesday, I heard reports that he could. I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden Friday, it's like, okay, he sounded like he might. And then all of a sudden Sunday, it's like, okay, he's playing. He comes in, and he made probably the biggest impact. This was the guy that we have been missing. The Bills game, who are we missing? Alex Anzalone. I know we're missing a ton of other players that game too. We're down like 22 players. Getting Alex Anzalone back was the best thing that could have happened for this defense. Obviously, Hutch, I think, would be the most impactful and the best guy that you can get back. Carlton Davis up there too. Lee McNeil up there. We're missing a lot of good guys. And thank God Terrion Arnold, by the way, is going to be fine. He's expected to play in the divisional round. But, man, it was nice seeing that dude back on the field. He was a difference maker, shutting down TJ Hawkinson in coverage, making tackles, and just making a difference out there. Seeing him out there again really made me feel a lot better about this defense moving forward. And I think that after holding the Minnesota Vikings to 9 points in our own stadium, I feel a lot more confident about this defense and being able to win a Super Bowl, because the question was, ever since really the Bills game, was, is this defense going to be good enough to win us a Super Bowl, help us win a Super Bowl? If the offense is a bad game, are we going to be able to do what we did against the Texans and lock down the Texans offense and win the game basically because of our defense? It's all going to come down to that. If our defense plays well, we're winning the Super Bowl. If they don't, I don't think we will. I think the offense will be just fine. Just like you saw, they locked in the second half and they were good. They were fine, and they made the plays when they needed to. Congrats to J-Mo hitting 1,000 yards. Other players of the game, Monroe had a great game. Goff locked in, had a nice game. Kindle Vildor came in. I thought he looked good. A lot of people like to hate on him. I'm going to give him his flowers because he looked good when he was in. Had that nice punch out as well. What's next for the Detroit Lions? Well, there's 4 different teams they could play. They could play the Packers, the Commanders, the Vikings, or the Rams. More than likely, it's going to be the winner of that Rams-Vikings game. I think the Eagles will probably beat the Packers, and I think the Commanders will probably lose to the Bucs. But if one of those 2 teams were to win, we'd probably play them. If I had to choose any of those teams, I'd choose the Commanders, honestly. I think that we would be able to roll them. But whoever we get, I don't care. We're going to put belt to ass like we always do. We're going to go to the NFC Championship in Ford Field. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I really do. It's good to be back. I'll be making another video coming up here within the next week about the Detroit Lions upcoming playoff game. Once we know who we're playing, stay tuned for that. And thank you guys for watching. Go Lions. Let's go.